What is going on? Well, here in Nebraska, it's been like 40 degrees one day, 80 the next, 25 the next, 85, and then 8 inches of snow, which means it's basically spring here in Nebraska. So usually around springtime is when I get into the garden and I go ahead and clear out all of last year's debris, rake everything together, start a giant fire, and kind of clean up the entire thing, getting ready for this year's season. So that's what I am here today. I've already pulled all the big corn stalks out of the garden and any of the big major thick plants because they just don't burn very well. This is gonna be a small like grass fire type thing. Then I got the post behind me from the little trellises that I made for all the cucumbers and watermelons and cantaloupe, things like that. So I'm gonna pull those posts, get to rake in, get to pull some of this stuff together, and then light this fire. We've got a nice breeze, so hopefully I can start the fire on one end, and it's just gonna kind of push the fire all the way through the garden, clean this thing up, get it ready for tilling. We'll have some nice clean soil to get our garden started for this year. So let's get the post puller out and pull some posts. Huge shout out to Membrane Solutions for sponsoring this video. This thing right here, this is the Squeeze water filtration system. Get your pouch, fill it full of dirty water, got your filter, screw it on, out comes the clean water. It's that darn simple. Each filtration system comes with a single water filter and two 23-ounce pouches. This thing has a 5-stage filtration system capable of filtering up to 1,300 gallons of water. If you guys are in the need for a filtration system of any kind, use the links below, check them out, and get yourself one. All right, guys, I got my post puller here. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before, but this is a lifesaver. So instead of doing that whole dancing on the pole, twisting, pulling, and it kind of bends the pole up, you throw this thing on there, and it basically pulls it right out. They're actually pretty loose already, but pretty simple process. Just like that, you're done. But I've pulled out some really stuck ones before that have been like in the ground for like years and years. Pretty much my whole body weight jumping up on top of this thing, pulling it out. But even for this, it keeps the poles nice and straight instead of bending them all up. All right, just like that, we're done. This thing's actually pretty sweet because it's got this hook on the front too, so you can actually have a chain you can wrap it around like a giant wooden post and actually pull a post out as long as you got a good catch on that darn thing. But this thing was pretty slick. I think it's like 65 bucks or something, but it's definitely a lifesaver. Look at those things. Little bit bent. Must have been a little too rough on it last time. Got this landscaping rake that I use to straighten out the garden, kind of pull the leaves and grass to one side, but not sure what I use this thing for to beat the crap out of this thing so bad. But this is pretty weak. It's like aluminum, so it's pretty soft. I have to do this every once in a while. That's a little better. All right, get some raking. All right, I think I'm good with the raking for now. You can definitely tell on this side, this is the side I had the trellises on and a lot more of the viney plants, and then like the big plants like tomatoes and stuff. And as we move down this way, I had a lot more row stuff, which obviously towards the end of the season, I kind of let go. So a lot of grass took over this entire area. So over here, I can leave it pretty much as is and just light it on fire, and it should just catch everything on fire eventually and just work its way down the garden. Whereas the other end, it's just so thin. I rake everything to the center, start one end and let it kind of burn down in a single row. And then I got my asparagus patch, which is basically from here all the way down here. I let that overgrow too over the winter time. So I'll just light that on fire and then I'll go all the way through one end to the other. It'll basically be good. So I think I'm gonna get out the torch, light this thing up. The wind is picking up a little bit. Hopefully it's gonna be just a quick fire, probably a smoky fire. And yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, I think it's about perfect. The wind is just strong enough, just kind of giving a little push through the garden. Nothing too fast, nothing I can't control. So I think it's going to be a pretty darn good burn. Got a lot of leaves in there. All right, this thing's like burning perfectly. I don't know if you can see this behind me. Started over there. It's just slowly making its way here. It's just a small burn. It's working its way all the way through. I got some tall grass here, so it's gonna take off like crazy here in a minute. But it's keeping a nice fire line. It's gonna be perfect. All right, it's going pretty darn smooth. We're about halfway done right now with the thick stuff anyway. But the wind kind of picks up and then it goes back down, picks up, goes back down, but it's burning nice and smooth, nice easy line. So this is very manageable. Sometimes I'm out here running around with a rake, stomping out little mini fires and stuff, but it's a perfect burn for today. So this turned out really nice. All right, so the main stuff seems like it's dying off a bit. The asparagus is taking off. Once it gets to this thick stuff, it'll probably take off very quickly. I've learned from previous years, I used to hang my hoses and stuff on those posts, and the first year I burnt the garden up, it melted all my hoses and stuff. So you live and you learn. Now I know better. I ditch them off to the side before I light the darn fire. So, but yep, here it goes. It's getting there. It's almost to the thick stuff, and it should start taking off. This actually took off a little bit more now. It's gonna start working this way. But check it out. What we got going on here. Got a few big roots left, which obviously when you got a small light grass fire, that's never gonna really burn up. But for the most part, all that grass and all those little pieces of just crud is burnt up. It's just nice, clean, ready to till, ready to get some plants in this thing. So probably in about a month, we'll start planting some stuff. Oh man, there it goes. There's the asparagus taking off. It's gonna work its way down, and there's my row from the north side of the garden that was very thin. Whew, it's getting smoky. Now we got some fire going. Last of the asparagus going down. It looks like that's starting to spread this way a bit, so it's cleaning up that end where it kind of stopped for a bit. So one thing that's happened not too long ago was we actually had our motor and our pump went out on our well. So if you live in the country, that basically means you're out of water. And they weren't sure if it was the pump itself that malfunctioned or if the motor. So while they were pulling it out of the ground, they would test it, they'd put it back in, pull it back out, put it back in, and while they're doing all that, it disturbs all the water so much down the ground that once they got it finalized and down in there, there's a bunch of sediment that was kind of stirred up, and now it's pulling itself up through the pipes, and it's actually coming out of our water sources. So luckily for the house, we have filters and stuff, but then out here, this is just dirty water basically until you give it a little bit of time and it kind of settles down underground and stuff, and then it's pretty much clean and safe again. So while I'm out here, I typically use water filters. This is kind of a perfect time to use this Membrane Solutions water system. I can actually fill this thing up right now, throw my filter on there, and get some clean water while I'm out here instead of going into the house trying to grab something while I'm out here trying to watch the fire. So pretty simple little process. It's just kind of nice. I have one of these systems and probably I don't know, got one in my side-by-side, got one hooked to the mower, every backpack I have, and obviously around the house I have some too, but just super simple. Super high rate too, look at that. Instantly comes out, you just squeeze it right out and it's coming, so. All right, we have hit the end of the thick stuff. We're on to our little row here. Looks like our asparagus patch is pretty much done. Got a little bit left along the edges here, burning up. Not too bad. I missed one little spot right here, this little strip. But that ain't nothing. That'll all till under quite nicely. So yeah, I think it turned out pretty nice. Take the tiller over this here in about a week or so, till all this in and underneath it, and we'll be good to go. All right, I think we about got this thing wrapped up. We got a couple small little fires going down there, but for the most part, the entire garden has been burnt down to pretty much nothing. So next time you see me in this garden, we'll be probably putting up some trellises and planting plants into the ground. So until then, hope you enjoyed this video. We will see you next time. Later.